first of all, just kind of give me a recap of your last term in office, some of the things that you've accomplished, and what you're looking forward to as, if you were to be reelected to another.
Certainly. Great. Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to talk with you tonight. I was originally elected to the council in 2012, reelected in 2018, and then as a result of term limits, the mayoral seat came open in 2018, and I was successfully elected mayor in 2018, and have been enjoying that service to the community. A lot of things that we have accomplished is we've streamlined our community development process and made it easier for people to do development permits, whether it be roofs or windows. But then we've also updated our sign ordinance. We've updated our accessory dwelling ordinance. We've updated our parking ordinance. We've been improving streets as part of 2014. The community approved $48 million in bond measures to improve our local streets, and we are approximately 50% of the way through that in about 6 years. And the community has encouraged us to continue going faster. And so that is definitely one of the things that I want to make sure that we continue doing in my second term, should I be successfully reelected. Another thing that I want to make sure that we do is have a sustainable police and fire services. They are very necessary to the lifeblood of our community. But then also on the less visible side, we do need to make sure that our water sustainability is there and our water and sewer infrastructure is maintained in good condition.
What are some of the sort of biggest issues? I know you just mentioned a couple of them, but what are maybe some of the things that you didn't get accomplished, or some of the bigger issues facing Grover that is a little bit more difficult to sort of attack?
Well, one of the things that we do have as one of our city goals is homelessness and housing affordability. And I think that is one of the things that we've started to make strides on, but it is still going to take a lot of a concerted effort by the community as well as the council and by staff. We are moving forward as a city with a people self-help affordable housing project at the corner of 13th Street and Grand Avenue in Grover Beach. So we have started that process, and we are looking forward to having a 50-unit complex built as part of a joint partnership between the city and people self-help. One of the successes that I'll say with respect to homelessness is our eviction prevention and our rental or rapid rehousing rather. And we have partnered through our community development block grant funding to provide over $500,000 into the Five Cities Homeless Coalition so that they can work with the homeless community and those that want to have services and really want to have a hand up rather than a handout are available and can be provided services. Obviously, that's a situation that's not going to be solved overnight or even in my next 2-year term, but it is something that we are trying to make strides on and trying to do it in a compassionate way, but also in a way that respects the community's right to privacy and their property rights as well.
Because you've been in office for a fairly decent amount of time, look back to when you were elected and compared to now, and kind of talk about some of the bigger differences that you've seen, or some of the areas where Grover Beach has really grown.
Gotcha. And I'll start by saying that when I first got elected in 2012, you do really, as they proverbially say, start drinking out of a fire hose, because you're involved in your community. And then you're involved in your community, not to use the old fish story adage, but it really is a difference in becoming part of city government and being part of a organization that is really trying to do community service and trying to do better the overall goals of the community. And that's one of the things that I'm proudest of being able to navigate that, and as part of my profession, also be understanding of what city governments do. And so I think one of the accomplishments that we've been able to do is really bring the community involved into the conversation. We've had an initiative. We just turned 60 last year in 2019. So GB 60 was a great way for us to be able to join the community together and have coffees with a cop, coffees with a council, potlucks in the park, and even have a celebration where we had the community come together, obviously pre-COVID, and celebrate what brings us together as a community. We've had so many good things with public art, with our community concerts, with our events that that's really something that that's changed over the course of my time as a council member. Is we've really tried to get the community involved, and they've really responded. And that's one of the kind of the ancillary benefits is we actually have 10 people running for 4 seats this election cycle, and I think that's a testament to really reaching out and getting the community involved. And I'm very proud of that, and looking forward to a very robust election season.
You know, I've got to like throw this out there, but cannabis, you know, how much of a difference has that made?
So cannabis is actually one of those items that kind of came into kind of fruition, so to speak, in 2016 with the state adoption of legalization of cannabis, and we took kind of a leap of faith as a city and really did it correctly. We did it safely with the proper resources and legally, and in a way that made it accessible to the public, but in a very controlled fashion. We do have a lot of security measures in place, and we now have 12 legal businesses operating in Grover Beach on a cannabis perspective, whether it be dispensaries or manufacturers or distributors. And what that's really done for the community and for the city is to bring in some tax revenues. And in the last fiscal year, I believe it was approximately $1.3 or $1.4 million of tax revenue did come into the community, and with a general fund budget in the order of $14 to $15 million, that is a sizable influx of funding, and it's really allowed us to do some of those projects and provide those services to the community that we weren't able to do previously.
You know, I think there's at least the community perspective, if not my own personal perspective, that Grover Beach was really sort of a leader, you know, and you know, kind of jumped, as you mentioned, jumped on the bandwagon. Do you consider that like a total success, or and who do you attribute the success that you have? You know, who's kind of responsible for making sure that it kind of went in the right direction?
I would say it's a kind of a joint effort, as no pun intended, as that for it to go in the right direction. But I do want to give credit to our city staff, as well as our fire chief and our police chief, for from a regulatory standpoint, they listened to the council, who had said we are going to make this a understanding of a legal business within Grover Beach, and really take that effort and not put the stigma that is typically on cannabis. And they went out and did their research. They went out and visited locations and talked to people, and really saw what legal businesses were able to operate. And we were able to put in place the ordinances at the council level for implementation by staff, to make sure there were security cameras, make sure there was appropriate cash distribution requirements, make sure that the product is not put into the hands of children, make sure that before you can actually enter a dispensary or a facility, you actually have the proper background checks. So I'm very proud of what we've done, and I think the entire council and staff has had a hand in making sure that was done correctly.
Can you sort of, I mean, I know it's hard to sort of separate the money that's come in from cannabis compared to general fund money, but are there, like, can you kind of name some projects that may not have been able to be accomplished without cannabis really being embraced within the city?
I think it's a matter of general perspective. Can I point to one specific project? Not yet. I think what we're planning to do is to do some improvements at some of our parks, either Ramona Garden Park or 16th Street Park, where we do have some opportunities. We've had some opportunities to make sure that the landscaping is better maintained. We've had an opportunity to make sure that the roof has been upgraded at Ramona Garden Park, and some of the visible dry rot on the community building was taken care of, and some of the sidewalk improvements, some of the water line improvements that have gone on have been able to be further advanced because we've had those funding sources. So we don't have anything big that we can kind of point to and say that was the result of cannabis funding, but I think it's more of a matter of we've done a good job of putting it into the community where the community has asked us to put it, where it be parks, where it be events, whether it be city services that we haven't been able to provide before, such as increased police or fire services.
Because you were in office during that time, was there any nervousness about sort of you being the first to embrace it? I know if you kind of compare yourself to San Luis Obispo, or dispensaries just one, and really into place and opened up, within the past year or less. Was there nervousness, and can you look back at it now and say it was a total success?
There's always nervousness when you're out on a limb and people are questioning what you're doing. I think from that perspective, the opportunity to really have the discussions in public. I believe we had almost a dozen meetings, whether it be public outreach, whether it be community meetings on ordinances, over the better part of a 6 month or 9 month period to really let the community become engaged in that process. So realizing that it is a federally illegal substance still, we did put into our regulations that in the ordinances that says this is still federally illegal. However, it is California legal, and so we tried to make sure that everyone who comes in and does participate in the cannabis business is fully aware of that, but does participate and realizes that we've got safeguards in place to make sure that they operate in compliance.
Can you compare yourself to your challenger a little bit, and maybe give me some strength that you think you have, that she might not?
Probably the best thing that I can say is I visualize myself as a cheerleader for Grover Beach, and I think the positive attitude that I've brought to the leadership with a vision is what I really bring to Grover Beach. And I think I respect my challenger. She's run several times, and she brings a point of view. But I believe that the community of Grover Beach really wants to see a positive leadership value. And I think that's what I bring because I have a policy mind. I have an ability to review and see where the budget funding is going, and to try and provide that understanding for the community. But then I'm also out in the community asking people, what do you see? What do you want to see improved? What do you want to see changed? And I think that's something that I really bring to that. And I think her perspective is a little bit more trying to be regulatory and trying to limit some of the good work that we're doing in Grover.
Can you assess how you feel, or can you express to me how confident you are in your chances of re-election?
So I wouldn't be running if I didn't feel confident. So, and one of the great things is that I've had a lot of community support by individuals, by companies, by labor. I'm very comfortable talking with anybody about whether they agree with me, whether they don't agree with me. I want to have that conversation, and so I'm comfortable that I'm going to be elected, but I'm working hard to make sure that my comfort level is tinged with that little bit of concern, because I want to make sure that I'm doing the best for the community, and I hope that they give me the opportunity to continue that leadership.
Is there something that I didn't ask you that maybe you wish that I had, so that you can express to the voters?
Certainly. So one of the things I think that Grover Beach, again, has been a leader on is some of the COVID-19 business recovery efforts. And we were one of the first in the county to do microgrants. And I think that's a kind of a point that I want to bring forward, in the fact that without our businesses, our families can't work here either. And so what we've tried to do is we've tried to do microgrants so that businesses can be solid in their in being able to remain open and operating. And then we've taken that a step further and said childcare is also something that needs to be solidified, because as families, kids are working in going homeschooling, and their parents need to go to work, there's not an opportunity for distance learning to be as productive. And so we have partnered with the Boys and Girls Club and the YMCA to do after school programs and to do daytime programs, so that while someone in the family is working, the children can still have learning opportunities.